There's a moment you've probably seen and quietly smiled at. Someone walking down the street with their dog. And for a split second, you can't tell where the person ends and the pet begins. The same slightly rushed walk, the same careful eyes or confident posture. Or you visit a friend and notice their cat has the same irritated, graceful attitude toward everything, just like their owner. You joke, you two are the same, but somewhere deep down, it doesn't feel like a joke. Because sometimes the more you look, the more it seems true. Pets don't just live with us, they start to look like us. They start to act like us. They start to feel like us. And if you've ever really loved an animal, you know this resemblance isn't just cute. It's deep, it's intimate, it's psychological. And to understand why pets so often resemble their owners, you have to look at something deeper than memes and stereotypes. You have to look at how we choose them, how they shape us, and how we slowly become a shared ecosystem of habits, emotions, and unspoken stories. Foe. Because the truth is, you don't just own a pet. You co-create a personality with them. Most people assume it's all coincidence or superstition, but the psychology behind it is more layered than that. It actually starts before the pet ever enters your home. When you choose an animal, out of all the faces, all the wagging tails, all the blinking eyes, you're not picking at random. Psychologists call this assortative matching, our tendency to be drawn to others who are similar to us in looks, energy, or temperament. Temperament. We do it with friends, with partners, and yes, with pets too. You look at a row of puppies and something in you moves toward the one that feels like you, the nervous one crouched in the back, or the chaotic one bouncing against the glass. You might say, I just had a feeling. But that feeling is your nervous system scanning for familiarity, and it already feels safe. Even when we say, I want a dog that'll get me outside more, we're still picking within our own orbit. The introvert doesn't suddenly bring home a hypersocial working dog who needs constant stimulation. Stimulation. Not really. They might say they will, but when the moment comes, their hand usually reaches for the gentler, softer one. Here's where it gets interesting. You're not just choosing an animal. You're choosing a mirror. Psychologists talk about projection and how we see parts of ourselves in others, sometimes without realizing it. With pets, projection is almost effortless. Can't ask them who they are. So, we read them through our own emotional language. We say, he's shy, she's dramatic. He has trust issues in ways that suspiciously echo our own histories. This isn't delusion, it's how the bond forms. The moment you name some trait in your pet, she's protective. He doesn't trust strangers. He needs reassurance. You're not just describing them. You're outlining the blueprint of the relationship. You're telling the world, this is who we are together. Over time, that blueprint becomes real life. One of the most powerful forces shaping this is something called emotional contagion, the automatic spreading of emotion from one being to another. It happens between humans, but it also happens between humans and animals. Your pet doesn't understand all your words, but it absolutely understands your energy, your tension, your calm, your habits of reacting. Dogs, in particular, are experts in social referencing. They look to their humans to decide how to feel about a situation. If you stiffen when a stranger approaches, your dog learns. Strangers equals danger. If you greet the world with curiosity, they learn the world is mostly safe. Cats do it in their own way, too. Tuna. They watch the rhythm of the house, the volume of your voice, the way you handle change. If every unexpected sound stresses you out, don't be surprised when your cat starts bolting under the bed at every minor disturbance. Your nervous system becomes their weather report. Over months and years, this emotional echo can become synchrony. Your moods, your routines, even your reactions quietly lining up. You get more anxious. Your pet becomes clingier. You become calmer. Your pet rests more easily. You learn to regulate your emotions. They stop pacing, chewing, over-grooming. It's not magic. It's co-regulation. Two nervous systems learning to find stability together. But there's another layer. It's not just that pets absorb us. We absorb them too. Psychologists talk about self-expansion. The idea that close relationships become part of how we define ourselves. So we don't just say, I have a dog. We say, I'm a dog person. That tiny shift in language matters. The pet slides from object to identity. Your animal becomes part of your story. She's the reason I got through that breakup. He's why I started going outside again. They're the only one who understands me. Once a pet becomes part of your identity, something subtle happens. You start unconsciously aligning with them. You lean into the qualities you've assigned to the bond. If your dog is brave, you feel braver walking with him at night. If your cat is independent, you feel more justified in your own need for space. If your pet is gentle, you become softer in their presence. Psychologists studying human-animal attachment have found that this bond mirrors the attachment styles we see between parents and children. Safe base, separation, anxiety, proximity seeking. But it doesn't just reveal who you already are, it shapes who you become. You and your pet slowly negotiate a shared personality, a middle point between your temperament and theirs. This process is sometimes called personality convergence. Two beings growing more similar simply by sharing life routines and emotional patterns over time. Of course, we can't talk about resemblance without talking about the thing everyone jokes about. Do pets actually look like their owners? Strangely, yes, at least sometimes. Research has found that people can match dogs to their owners based on looks more accurately than chance. We tend to choose dogs whose size, facial structure, even vibe fit ours, whether we admit that or not. This isn't vanity. It's visual familiarity bias. We're drawn to patterns we already know. Our own proportions, level of neatness or chaos, even how expressive or reserved a face seems. Our brains love recognizable symmetry. Your pet becomes an external version of your inner world. The hyper-vigilant dog who barks at every sound might be the fur version of your over-alert nervous system. The relaxed cat sunbathing all day might be the external permission slip for the rest you never allow yourself. The clingy, anxious pet might be a living embodiment of your fear of being left. And sometimes the resemblance is a rebellion. You're chaotic. Your pet is steady. You're fearful. Your pet is fearless. You're quiet. Your pet is loud. In that case, they're not a mirror. They're a counterweight. But even that still fits your psychology. We often seek in others what we lack, then slowly shift toward it. That's still a kind of similarity, just stretched across time. Underneath all this is one more powerful mechanism: anthropomorphism, our tendency to give animals human thoughts, motives, and personalities. We say, he's judging me, she's offended, he's being dramatic, when objectively, we don't really know. But this isn't a flaw in our thinking as much as it is a doorway. Anthropomorphism is how we build a bridge where language can't reach. We're not just describing them. We're revealing ourselves. What we choose to see in our pets often reflects what we're sensitive to in people. If you've always feared abandonment, you see neediness everywhere. If you've always felt responsible for others, you notice every sign your pet might be upset. If you're hyper-attuned to criticism, it's easy to imagine your cat resenting you for being gone. We think we're decoding them, but we're often decoding ourselves. This is part of why some people say their pet knows them better than anyone, because in the silence of that relationship, there's nowhere to hide. Still, it would be a mistake to think pets are just reflections of us, like soft little psychological mirrors. They have their own temperaments, their own histories, their own nervous systems shaped by genetics and experience. Comparative psychology, the study of animal minds, reminds us that they are not many humans in fur, but beings with their own logic, fears, and desires. The beauty is in the overlap, that narrow band of reality where their nature and your nature meet. Somewhere between your projections and their instincts, something real grows. A shared language, a shared pace, a shared world. You learn their tales, the micro twitch of an ear, the specific kind of meow, the weight of a paw on your leg that means stay here. They learn yours. The way your breathing changes when you're upset. The way you close the laptop when you're finally ready to play. The way your footsteps sound when you're exhausted. Psychologists call this attunement, the ongoing moment-by-moment tracking of another being's internal state on gate EE. It's the same process that allows a parent to sense a baby's needs before a single word is spoken. With pets, it's wordless but no less real, and the more attuned you are, the more you influence each other. There is also a quieter, almost spiritual angle to all this. Pets often become the one place where people allow themselves to be emotionally honest. You might hold yourself together all day for coworkers, friends, family. But when you walk through the door and your dog greets you or your cat jumps onto your lap like nothing in the world is more natural, something in you drops the performance. You're tired, you're soft, you're real. And because your pet doesn't argue, doesn't interrupt, doesn't judge in human ways, your nervous system slowly associates them with a rare kind of emotional safety. Safety changes behavior. When you feel safe enough, you cry, you laugh, you talk to them in a voice no one else hears. You admit things out loud that you'd never dare say to another person. Over time, that safe version of you, the one who's less guarded, less filtered, starts to show up more and more, and who's always there recording that version? Your pet. So, when people say, he's just like me, or she's my twin soul, they may be saying something deeper than they realize. That animal hasn't just adapted to your personality. They've witnessed the truest version of it. All of this comes with a certain softness and a certain ache because the more intertwined your lives become, the more it hurts to remember that their timeline is shorter. That the creature who mirrors you so closely will likely leave first. Maybe that's part of why the resemblance feels so intense. Why people say things like, a part of me died when they did. It's not just grief. It's the loss of a version of yourself that only existed fully with them. Psychologists sometimes talk about continuing bonds, how we maintain relationships with those we've lost through memory, ritual, and meaning. Oh, no. With pets, that bond often lives in our habits long after they're gone. You still glance at the spot where their bed used to be, still half expect a shape by the door, still hear phantom paws on the floor. In that sense, the resemblance doesn't end. You keep carrying them in your routines, your softness, your changed reactions to the world. If you're one of those people, the ones who share a strange resemblance with your pet, here's what you should know. You don't have to be embarrassed by it. You don't have to apologize or downplay it with jokes. Your pet is not just an animal. They are a psychological bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. They're the way your nervous system learned a different rhythm. They're the reason you go outside more or rest more or speak softer or feel braver. They're not only similar to you, they've helped rewrite you. So the next time someone says you and your dog are exactly the same, or your cat has your personality, you can smile, not defensively, but knowingly, because maybe that's the point. In a world that rushes us, pets slow us down. They tune us into patterns we wouldn't otherwise notice. They give us an excuse to care more, feel more, notice more. They remind us that resemblance isn't just about genetics or looks. It's about shared time, shared safety, shared being. You might not always fit with other people, but there's a creature maybe asleep at your feet or curled beside you right now who has quietly learned to move like you, feel with you, and carry a piece of your inner world in their small, beating heart. And that isn't accidental. That's the psychology of love written in fur and eyes and quiet habits. So, if your pet is a little too much like you, don't shrink that truth. You were never meant to be separate stories anyway. You were meant to be a pair, a human and an animal, mirroring each other, teaching each other, and proving every ordinary day that connection has a way of making two beings look, act, and feel just a little bit the same. So, if this made you think of your own four-legged mirror, tap like and subscribe. It helps this channel reach more people who love their animals with the same depth.